friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to make a bandana style headband for spring. For this project, you're going to need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using a 6mm hook today. You'll also need some yarn. I'm going to be using this number 3 weight acrylic. I've got some happy spring colors to make this bandana. You'll also need some scissors, as well as a yarn needle to weave in your ends. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. Starting with the green yarn, I'm going to create a slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now in the third chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, right here, I'm going to do 2 double crochet stitches. So yarn over, insert the hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now there's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now there's 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. Now I've got the chain 2 here, and then a double crochet. Now I'm going to do another double crochet into the same space. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we've got a bit of a chain space here that we can pull tight to close up that hole. And then we've got a chain 2, a double crochet, and a double crochet. That chain 2 though will make up 1 double crochet. From here, we're going to chain 2. Chain 1, chain 2, and then turn the work. That's our first row. It's just a short row of 3 stitches coming out from 1 space. Now, for row number 2, we're going to start by putting 2 double crochets in the space between those first 2 double crochets. So yarn over, pull apart your work, and you'll see there is where you normally put your hook, which is right here in this space. We're not going to put the hook there though. We're going to put it in between the 2 posts of our double crochets. And we're going to put 2 double crochets in that space. There's 1, and there's 2. And then we're going to move to the next large space between 2 double crochets. So we've got a double crochet post here and the chain 2 from the previous row here, but you see this large space in between them. In that space, we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And that is the end of row number 2. Now you can already see at this point we've gone from, oh my goodness, Rohan. You can see at this point we've gone from our initial chain, then we've got our 3 stitches, and now we are up to 4 stitches. So for row number 3, we're going to start with a chain 2. Chain 1 and chain 2, and then turn the work. For the rest of this project, we're always going to be working in the big gap spaces between double crochets. So in this first space here, oh my goodness. In this first space here, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to do that 2 times. There's 1 and there's 2. Then in this space here, I'll put 1 double crochet because we're not at the end of a row. In this next spot here, I'll put 1 double crochet because we're not at the end of the row yet. And now we're at the end of the row. We're at the chain 2 and the last double crochet. So in this space here, we're going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. At the beginning and end of each row, we're going to do 2 double crochets. This is going to expand out a triangle to create that nice bandana shape. See, our triangle is growing. So at the end of the row, chain 2, 1 and 2, and turn. Now for the next row, I'm going to start with 2 double crochets in that first large space. Then I'm going to double crochet across and put 2 double crochets in the last large space. So there's 1 and 2, then we'll do across the row, 1, 2, 3, and 4, And now we're at the last space of the row. I'm gonna put 2 double crochets in that space. There's 1, and there's 2. And you can see it's just going to increase every single row, and we're getting this nice triangular shape, which is going to be the final shape of our bandana. We're gonna keep going on these increases, but at this point, I think it's a good idea for us to change colors. I think it would be nice to have a different color here. So I'm going to switch in to my pink yarn. I've got this really pretty pink yarn, and I think it would look really cute with the green. I've just finished my last double crochet. I'm going to do my chain 2 with the new pink color. Chain 1, then I'll drop the tail, or I'll try to, there we go, and chain 2, and turn the work. Then I'll pull down that green, and I'm gonna leave the green, but I'm gonna hold the pink with me as I do this row in order to crochet over the end. So in the first stitch here, I'm gonna do 2 double crochets with the new pink yarn. There's 1, and there's 2. And then I will crochet across. I'm crocheting over the pink tail so that I don't have to weave that end in later. Just hold the tail along the work as you crochet, and then you won't have to worry about any ends to weave in. It's very useful. Who wants to weave in ends? And there we go. I've made it to the end of the row here. So in the last stitch of the row, I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 double crochets in the pink yarn. There's 1, and there's 2. Each row you're going to be gaining 2 stitches because we're putting 2 stitches in the first stitch and 2 in the last stitch, which means you'll have 2 additional stitches in each row. And you're gonna wanna keep going until the row is long enough to measure from your ear on one side all the way over your head to the ear on the other side, because you want it to be, you know, a little bandana for on top of your head. So I'm gonna go back with my pink yarn, and I'll meet you at the end of this next row to switch back into the green and show you what that looks like. All right, I've made it to the end of the row. I'm gonna put my last 2 double crochets into the last stitch. There's 1, and here's 2. And I'm going to finish the stitch. So before I do my last yarn over and pull through 2, I'm gonna drop the pink, and I'm gonna pick up the green to finish that last stitch with the green yarn. Then I can pull that pink down tight a little bit and chain 2 to start the next row. Here is what it's looking like at this point. We've got our first row of 3, and then our second row, which has 4, our third row, which has 6, our fourth row has 8, fifth row has 10, sixth row has 12. And you can see if we just tug on all the ends, we have this really pretty little triangle. I'm going to zoom through a few more rows to just get our triangle growing out a little bit more. I'm gonna put 2 stitches in the first and last stitch of the row. Otherwise, I'm just double crocheting across through the large space between rows, or the large space between stitches rather. And I will meet you back here when my triangle is a little bit bigger to show you what we're going to do next to form this into a triangle bandana. Here is what my triangle is looking like after 22 rows. I think this is long enough now for our bandana. It's going to be on my head like this, so it'll be like, here's my face, and it'll hang down like this. Whimsical, I like the stripes. So at 22 rows, that is what's long enough for me when I'm using a 6mm hook and doing double crochets. I'm gonna just finish up this row here with my last few double crochets, and then we're going to get into the ties. We're gonna do ties on it, and then we're gonna do an edge stitch around the end. So I'm gonna finish my last double crochet. I'm gonna cut my pink yarn. I'm done with the pink for now. And I'm going to finish my double crochet with both the pink yarn and the blue yarn. I've switched into blue so that I've got pink and blue and pink and green. Finish my last double crochet there. And now we're going to work right into the ties. So for the ties, I'm going to do a chain of 50 here. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. And that will be the length of our tie. Now, in the second chain from the hook, 1 and 2, I'm going to do a single crochet. From here, I'm going to single crochet down the chain until I get back to the work, back to the triangle. Just 1 single crochet in each chain stitch all the way down, insert into the chain stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And I'll do that all the way down until I'm back to the work. I'll zoom through it and I'll meet you when I get there. I've made my way back to the work now. I've just got 1 more single crochet to do in that initial chain of 50, and now I've got my tie here for the bandana. And what I'm going to do is I am going to single crochet across the top. I'm not going to do any increases in here though. So I'm going to do single crochets in the spaces between these double crochets, just like we'd been doing with our double crochet stitches, but I'm not going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch. I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch across until I get to the other corner. And when I get to that other corner, I am going to go ahead and do another chain of 50, and then I'm going to single crochet down that chain of 50 to get back to the work. And this is the entire tie portion of the project. We still have to do edge stitching and some finishing touches, but this is the main shape of our bandana. So I'm just going to zoom across with these single crochets, and then I'm going to do my chain 50 and single crochet down the chain. And I will meet you when I finish that chain 50 single crochet down the chain to show you what we're going to do next to complete this project. All right, I've made it to the point where I am back at the work with my second tie here. So I've got my second tie in blue, and I think I want to change back into the pink yarn, but first I want to do 1 more row here across with the blue. So I'm gonna do single crochets again, just across the front of this row. Just 1 single crochet in each stitch across until I get back to my beginning corner. I'm not going to go down the ties this time. I'm just going to go across the top. So when I get back to the next tie, which is over here, I'm going to stop with my blue yarn, and I'm going to switch either into the green or the pink. We'll see what happens when I get there, but for now I'm just going to single crochet across with my blue, and I will see you when I get there. All right, here I am back at the corner where we start the tie. I'm gonna put my last single crochet in here, and I'm gonna cut my blue yarn at this point, and I'm gonna pull the yarn through, and that's going to be where I'm finished with the yarn that is blue. I'm going to go back in with the green yarn now, and I'm actually gonna connect my green yarn at the underside here, right here. I'm gonna connect my green yarn right here where the blue meets the pink in this first section. And I'm going to connect it with a loop. So I'm going to put my hook in and pull a loop through that first stitch there. And then I'm going to chain 1. And I'll pull the tail down. And now in that space where I just did the chain 1, I'm going to insert the hook into that same space again and complete a single crochet. And this is going to be our first stitch of this side row. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the first space of each row all the way down. So these are double crochet rows. I'm going to be putting 1 single crochet right here, and then right here, right here, and then right here. And I'm going to do that all the way down. And this is going to create a nice finished edge. I'm going to crochet over my green tail at this point as well. Just 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way down. It's actually 1 single crochet in the first stitch of each row all the way down, but neither here nor there. Just in those big spaces, you'll be able to see them. Just 1 single crochet in each one. You see, we create a nice finished edge here. Instead of having the ends of the rows be kind of unfinished, this creates a nice border. So I'm going to do that until I get to the bottom corner down here, and I will zoom through that, and then I will meet you there to show you what we're going to do to get around that bottom corner and complete the project. All right, I've made it to that bottom corner where we've got our initial slip stitch. This is our first stitch. We're working down the triangle like this. So now we're at the bottom. Now in this last stitch, this bottom stitch here, I'm going to do 3 single crochets. That is how I'm going to turn the corner for this project. So I've just put my last single crochet in the first double crochet here. Now into that initial slip stitch, I'm going to do 3 single crochets. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And then I'm going to turn the work so that I'm going to be working up the rows on the other side. From here, I'm going to repeat what I did on the opposite side with 1 single crochet in the first space of each row all the way up. And I'll zoom through this until I get to the top of the side of the project, and I'll show you what we're going to do when we get there. All right, I made it up to the second tie now, so you can see we've got a nice green border here. And now I want to continue that green border all the way around the tie. We've got the blue tie, and I want to create a green border around that tie. So let me zoom you in here. What I'm gonna do here is I am going to single crochet into the first stitch of the tie, like that. And then for the rest of the stitches, we're working along the underside of the chain. You can see the top of the stitches is here, but here is the underside of the initial chain we did, the chain 50. On this underside, we're going to do slip stitches. So I'm going to insert the hook into that underside of the chain, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through both loops on the hook to do a slip stitch, just like that. And I'm going to slip stitch in every single stitch all the way across until I get to the end of the tie. I'm going to zoom through this part and I'll meet you at the end of the tie, hey guys, to show you how we're going to get around the tie to work up the other side to get back to the work. All right, here I am at the end of the triangle. I'm going to put my last single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet around the tie. So right now we're working along the bottom of the tie. Here's when the bandana is upright. You can see these are the single crochet stitches we did for the tie. If we're working along the bottom side though, we're working along the initial chain we did for the chain 50 of the tie. So we're going to be putting single crochets into the bottom of those chain 50 stitches. I'm going to put my first one right here, just a regular single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch along the bottom of that chain 50 all the way across until I reach the end of the tie. I'm going to zoom through these single crochets and I'll meet you when I get to the end of the tie to show you what we're going to do next. All right, I made it to the end of the tie, and you can see now we've got this nice border that goes all the way around the side here, down to the corner, up the side, and across the entire underside of the tie. And now we're going to go around the side of the tie, and we're going to do that by doing another single crochet into the same stitch we just did one. Let me zoom you in. So that was our last single crochet stitch, and we're going to put a second single crochet stitch in the same spot, and that's just going to help us get around the side. Then we're going to start doing single crochets into the opposite side of the tie. This will be a little bit easier because we're actually working into crochet stitches this time. The last time we were working into the underside of the chain. Now we're working into regular single crochet stitches. So we're just going to single crochet across the top of the tie until we get back to the work. And it's going to be easy peasy at that point because we're going to single crochet all the way across the tie, and then all the way across the work, and then all the way across the second tie. So it's going to be one really long strap from this point. I'm just going to single crochet each of those stitches all the way until I get to the edge of the second tie, and I'll meet you there to show you what we're going to do next. All right, I made it to the end of the second tie, and now I'm going to put my last single crochet into the last stitch, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets into that last stitch just to help us get around the edge of the tie. And now I'm going to work on the underside of the same tie. Now I'm doing the underside of the chain stitches rather than the actual single crochets, but I'm going to do single crochets in each of the underside chain stitches until I get back to the body of the work. And that's where the green is actually starting. So here's our first stitch in the green, and now I'm working along this underside until I meet back up with the bottom where we started with the green. So I'm gonna zoom through these single crochets and I will see you when I get back to the beginning of my round here. Alrighty, so I've made it to the beginning of the round with the green. Now you can see we've got a nice green border around the entire triangle and around our little ties. I'm going to finish this round by slip stitching into the first stitch that we did on the green round to join the round together. And then I'll trim my yarn here. And I think that's the only end we're gonna have to weave in because I crocheted over all of the ends. So I'm going to take this time here and weave in this green end. And guess what? That is it for this project. So let me weave this end in and then we will get into the after shots and showing what it turned out like. Ta-da! Here is our final bandana. How cute is this? It's a simple triangle bandana, but it works perfectly as a headband for spring, great for in the garden to keep your hair back. This also is a perfect pattern for a dog bandana, just saying. If you've got a large breed dog, this size would be perfect. When we got our dogs done when I was growing up, they would always come home with a bandana on, so this would be a great project if you want to decorate your dog, but I'm going to be using this as a headband for when I'm gardening. It's gonna keep my hair out of my face, and it's got these nice wide ties, which is perfect, easy to use, and cute also. I think this has just the right amount of whimsy for a spring project, and since we did it in the double crochet, it's got a good drape to it, so the triangle isn't gonna stick out straight and stiff. It'll have a nice drape to it. Here is the after shot. Here's what it looks like on. I think this is such a cute little project for spring, and wouldn't this be cute on littles? Like if you've got a couple of little kids, putting these bandanas on them would just be the cutest. You can wear this around your neck or around your head, whatever you want, but I think this is definitely a cute project for the spring and summer months to keep your hair back. Anyway, friends, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everyone who is supporting the channel this month. Here is the list of channel supporters. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. If you would like to support the channel, check out the links in the description box down below. All the ways to support will be listed there. Also, all of the related tutorials will be listed there. So if you're new to crochet and you don't know how to do the double crochet or single crochet or the slip stitch, I'll link that down below and you'll be able to learn those stitches there. Like I said, that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!